Okay, I was watching YouTube the other night, as one does.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't?
Viewing an ad.
Oh, yeah, I love ads.
As one often does while watching YouTube.
Hey, did you consider signing back up for YouTube TV?
Not really, no.
Every time I'm on YouTube now, it's like I have to click in and it's like, hey, man, you should sign up. I haven't had YouTube TV in 10 years at this point.
We never actually signed up for YouTube TV. We were drafting off of a family member's account, let's say.
Wow. Wow. Stunning revelations here today.
I don't mind admitting that now that we are unlikely to sign back up. Anyway. I was confronted with this ad on YouTube the other night.
Okay, what you got?
And I just almost fell out of my chair laughing. I've got it in front of me. I downloaded it from YouTube so I could quote directly from it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Security updates for Windows 10 are ending October 14th, 2025. Upgrade now to a Windows 11 Pro PC.
Oh.
And stay on the right side of Risk.
Look, I like Risk. My understanding is that Latin America is a linchpin for the entire Western Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. And also he who controls Australia controls the world.
That's right.
Yeah, those are the two rules of Risk.
Those are pro tier Risk strats. I could not believe they were straight up putting Windows 10 end of support date information into a YouTube ad like these. I mean, granted, ads are targeted by all sorts of tracking data and stuff. This ad is not necessarily going in front of every person who watches YouTube, but still, this just felt like it. This was this cascading series of goofy pieces of text on the screen, like fairly esoteric, like support information about an operating system in an ad.
Well, except for it's not.
And then I know it affects a lot of people, but then
when you click it, did it take you to like HP's buy a new laptop page?
It seems like in an Intel co-marketed situation. Yeah. It's like pushing like Intel inside, like kind of Lunar Lake style, like, hey, Intel laptops are quite good. But the thing I've really laughed about is that like the upgrade now I thought was a pitch for upgrading to Windows 11 before support ends. But no, it was, hey, you should buy a new computer.
I think that they probably have data that says, hey, if you've not already upgraded to Windows 11, then you probably are on a machine that can't upgrade to Windows 11.
Well, anecdotally, though, I think there are a lot of people who have been perfectly eligible for the upgrade for a while who are very much avoiding it.
I mean, that's possible. The weird thing about this is, like, I don't get Windows. I don't have Windows YouTube ad tracking on. My daughter gets really upset when we watch YouTube videos on my account because she's like, Dad, the ads you get are absolutely terrible. They're just you're all over the place. They're random stuff. There's a lot of weird right wing stuff in there. There's a lot of like, hey, man, the chemtrails are coming for you, because the kind of people that don't pay for targeted ads, they don't care who sees the ads.
Hang on. Is this a Zoomer thing? Like, are targeted ads actually valued? It's like, are you?
Well, look, kids today have a weird relationship with ads.
Like, is this like a thing where personalized ads are actually to be sought after, and like getting the generic everybody ads is like some kind of low class signifier or something?
So she would definitely rather have targeted ads than the ads that I get. That is 100% the case.
Okay.
She also like didn't see an ad. Like, ads are really novel for her because she didn't really see an ad until she started watching sports on TV with us infrequently, because like she grew up watching movies on our Plex and Netflix and stuff like that, and there's just no ads.
So at least like, there didn't used to be. I mean, Netflix is a different story now.
There's ways around that. But anyway, she, like, to her, ads are an exciting novelty, except for when she's watching live TV during the Olympics or basketball game or something. And then she's like, why did I see this car ad 12 times in the same window? So yeah, so like she has a different feeling about ads than we do.
That's fair. Yeah. Anyway, just this ad capped off with stay on the right side of Risk. Like, just drop a little bit of like light fear mongering in there at the end just to urge people to action.
Well, so I was going to say, I've seen the thumbnail for this ad before. This has come up for me. Yeah. I have not clicked it. It's been like a banner underneath the other videos.
Yeah, I gather that this right side of Risk thing is a consolidated marketing campaign that has been launched.
Look, they've spent a lot of, they thought Copilot Plus, get an AI in your PC, was going to sell a lot of PCs last summer. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the fall of, fuck you, upgrade or else.
That's right. We're going to send Steve Ballmer to your house to upgrade your fucking PC. He's coming out of retirement.
Welcome to Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod.
I'm Brad.
Hi, Brad.
Hello, who are you?
I'm Will. Shoot.
All right.
Look, man, things are a little hazy, but I'm doing better, okay?
Okay, all right. You've had a week since last recording. You sound pretty normal.
I sound pretty normal. I went to a basketball. I went to see the Valkyries for the first time last night.
Okay.
My wife and her sister have been going to a bunch of games, mainly because they're cheap and it's fun.
All right, that sounds fun.
But I got to go see Caitlin Clark,
Okay.
the Michael Jordan of the WNBA,
Yes,
play basketball live last night.
that's fun. Now, not to just make everything about COVID, but I know it's top of mind still. Like, can I ask what's your masking protocol for a situation such as this?
Well, I just got sick, so let my freak flag fly, baby.
Uh-huh.
I got like 2 weeks solid of immunity at least.
Sure.
So normally when I go to see a sporting event indoors, like if I go to a baseball game, I probably won't wear a mask because everything's outside.
Oh,
like,
yeah, outside.
There's breeze even through like the indoor areas.
I think it's like basically impossible to catch it outside.
Yeah. So this was less dense than like when we saw Olivia Rodrigo at Chase Center, the same venue. And I wore a mask the whole time there. I probably would have worn a mask like going into the venue and through the common areas. And then when we sat down in the seats, I probably would have taken it off.
Okay.
Because like we weren't in the middle. Like I was in the middle of the row, but where their seats are, it's like they're on the edge of a row. There's nobody around. You're like, there's no traffic around you. It's pretty chill. Yeah.
My gut intuitive sense, which could be entirely incorrect, but it's typically has been that like the more like the smaller and more enclosed and intimate the space, probably the higher chance of spread. Like the giant cavernous spaces like an arena or even like a supermarket or something. I feel like there's probably the chance is much more randomized. Like there's much more air to move around and so forth.
Yeah, I feel like the basement of like the Nintendo store downtown San Francisco probably is a good place to get COVID.
Right. Sure.
Chase Center so far 100% safe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good to know.
Yeah. So I wear masks on trains and buses and stuff like that when I take public transit.
Yeah. Although
anyway,
buses around here are good about having the windows open. But anyway, this is not a virology podcast. What is this? It's a tech podcast.
Yeah. This week we're doing something a little different. We have I don't know. We had a name for this. We didn't write it down when we were talking about it last night.
I had called it like a tech project wish list. I don't know if that's quite accurate or not. It's sort of taking inventory of upcoming projects, things that we have been digging into and like might do soon or maybe a little later down the line, but things we're thinking about and have started researching.
And like that might benefit from talking it. Like we realized we both have some projects that might benefit from talking it out a little bit.
Like at least, well, actually kind of all three of mine here. I'm sort of like on the fence of like, is this actually worth investing time and or money into?
Is this like we need to flip our chairs around backwards and wrap?
Yep.
Like we need to Riker it.
It's time for some real talk here.
Yeah.
It's time for some real talk about travel internet.
Wait, isn't Real Talk Bill Maher's show?
Oh, I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. But anyway,
yes.
Realer Talk with Brad and Will. That's what this one's going to be.
Yep.
You want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, the whole reason I thought of this episode topic was coming out of that Summer Game Fest trip.
Yeah.
During which I started thinking pretty seriously to myself, it might be time to get a travel router.
You know, I'm going to go and tell you, I had a travel router.
Did you?
For a long time.
So, okay, this is why I like this episode idea is because I can draw on your experience. We can talk through use cases here and like try to figure out like, hey, is this actually worth pursuing?
So the thing for me, I stopped carrying it. It was really important for me in the time period when you still had a working Ethernet port in a hotel room and I was traveling a lot, but like hotel Wi-Fi was bad. And I typically would have a device or two that I needed to connect with Wi-Fi and I couldn't connect with Ethernet.
Okay, so the Ethernet was going to be Ethernet port availability in hotel rooms was going to be the sort of eventual crux of this discussion. But now that you've mentioned it, I'm just going to say it up top. The hotel room I was in did not have an Ethernet port.
No, they hardly ever do anymore,
which is unfortunate because the ideal use case for one of these is plug it into the hard line in the room and then put all your Wi-Fi devices on your router. But,
so we did use them a lot at Tested when we were doing like production on trips. Like we had two kinds of trips at Tested. One was like we would go on a road trip and we'd shoot a bunch of video and then we'd bring the video back home and we'd edit it. And like there wasn't like the cataloging cards at the end of the night was basically going into, we'd go eat dinner and then we'd all go back to our rooms and do our stuff for the next day. And Joey's thing for the next day would be grabbing footage off of the thing and putting it on a couple of hard drives so that in case one conked out, we didn't lose anything. Right. On the other kind of trips, the ones like when we go to CES or E3 or something, we'd shoot a bunch of video and then we'd also post it there. Having the travel router was incredibly useful because it made it much easier for like computer to computer transfers across the network rather than using an external drive or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you guys had real production needs like that. 100% makes sense and proves its worth. Like in my case, I mean, I used to do a ton of work in hotel rooms 15 to 20 years ago. Like had needs like that, but those days are pretty much over. Like at Summer Game Fest, this was just like personal use, really.
Okay.
There are two angles for me here. There's the security angle, which is like maybe not as pressing as it seems, because I think most traffic, especially web traffic, but pretty much anything that your devices are doing is individually encrypted already. HTTPS and things like that exist. Where, I mean, your DNS traffic maybe is not encrypted. To be fair, if you're worried about somebody sniffing that on a public Wi-Fi or something, but
it'd be easy to put you have WireGuard on your phone probably already, and most of your devices.
I have been having some issues. The phone's been fine. My laptop, I did the trial last month, and so I had a lot of like lunch hours in the courthouse on their Wi-Fi, and then immediately went into this hotel thing. In both cases, I was having a lot of issues VPNing on my laptop, and I'm not 100% sure why. Like it was just causing like bad instability on the connection.
I wonder if you have a bum version you just need to update or something. I don't think WireGuard auto updates, at least for me.
It should all be up to date. It's like I got it out of the App Store on macOS, so it should be updating itself. But something I actually came to realize talking to some people on the network channel is that a lot of enterprise networking Wi-Fi stuff these days is doing all kinds of profiling of client devices to detect what they consider to be threats.
Oh, of course.
And so there's and it's not like, as I understand it, it's not like your laptop advertises to whatever it's connecting to, hey, I'm a MacBook, or hey, I'm a Mac OS client. It's like they are looking at a bunch of attributes of how the device is connecting to the network and using the network.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Sending traffic, like what ports are in use, stuff like that.
Like whether you're all going to one endpoint or you're going to a bunch of different endpoints, stuff like that.
Or like they're like MAC address profiling, like all kinds of stuff basically to determine. And so like they actually, again, we have a fair number of like network professionals on the Discord, and like I actually kind of got the sense that like they were saying like, hey, they might consider laptops to be a threat in a way that iPhones are not, and that might be why VPN is working fine on your phone and not on your laptop on the same SSID.
Oh, that's weird.
Anyway, so there's that. There's like the security angle, but actually it's the convenience angle was the bigger one for me.
Like just not having to, like, it's a pain. Like, okay, so going to a hotel, going to some venue, something, connecting to the Wi-Fi kind of sucks. There's always some sort of captive portal nonsense you have to click through.
Yep.
Like it's not great. The thing I've found over the last few years is that my 5G phone hotspot is invariably better than the Wi-Fi in the hotel.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi was not good in this hotel at all. So like that might have actually been a dead end to even have a travel router in this case.
I think like I can't remember which brand it is. Is it Hilton, I think? Hilton's have maybe the worst Wi-Fi as a brand that I've ever seen. Or it's whatever group owns Sheraton is who has terrible Wi-Fi. I've gone to a bunch of their hotels. It's always bad. Like I wrote a note one time. It was so bad because they charged me for it, and I was like, "This is unusable." I had better internet than this when I lived in Tennessee and had ISDN. You guys suck.
You know, it would be a fun episode, which I doubt we could put together because I doubt they would talk about it. But if we could just sort of anonymously get like the IT from 6 or 8 random corporately owned hotels to talk about, like, I would just love to know, like, hey, what is the connection that is supplying internet to your entire hotel?
Well,
like, is it one DSL line being split across the whole building? Like, what are you doing at this point? That's what it often feels like.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if it's one DSL line. In some cases, we had somebody in, I can't remember if it was tested or if it was in the TechPod days, but we had somebody who worked at a big hotel chain write in when I complained about this last time, and it was interesting.
Well, actually, the Q&A is next week, so if you work in hotel IT or know people who do, I would love to hear some details.
Yeah, send it in. Let's get the juice.
But you're 100% right. It was the convenience factor more than the security one that really started making me think about this, because, I don't know about you, but I kind of take everything that I might use with me. Laptop. Nope. Really?
I take nothing.
What? Okay.
I often travel with just a phone.
Wow. My standard kit is laptop, iPad, MacBook, Switch.
Madness.
Wow. Of course, the watch, because that's a wearable.
Yeah.
Typically, that's it. But that's still 5 devices that could connect to Wi-Fi. So I think I would rather make the trade-off of carrying one little extra box, because these things are quite small at this point. I would rather carry the one extra box that I have already configured all those devices to connect to once.
That's true.
And then just plug that thing in or get that thing on the local Wi-Fi instead of getting each of those devices on the Wi-Fi. Like really, as with everything, this all comes back to Fortnite, because that Death Star event, that one day Death Star event happened while I was down there.
Did you get to see it?
No, I did not. I had my Switch 1 with me.
Oh,
I was kind of busy. Like I had appointments. Like I could have tried to cram it in half an hour on Saturday morning before I went off to do meetings, but having to get that Switch online with the hotel's weird captive portal that makes you enter your room number and all that stuff, I was just like, I don't feel like dealing with this. I'm just not going to. But like if you had all your devices on Wi-Fi that you controlled and you just had to plug in that one box, like that's got a lot of appeal to me. And I think I would actually be happy to add one extra little doohickey to carry with me in exchange.
Well, so maybe you just need a hotspot.
Yeah, that's an option too.
You could put the router together, put it in a hotspot, and hook it up to a big USB battery, and be like 90% of the way to like not ever having to connect to the thing. But you have to pay more. You have to pay another connection fee for the hotspot. That's $10 a month or whatever.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of preliminary research looking around. Like there are DIY options here, but for once, I don't think that's what I would want to deal with. Like you could take a Raspberry Pi and plug like a.
Yeah, that seems really not good, janky in a bad way.
The thing I've seen the most recommendations for is this company GL iNet.
Okay.
That makes it's styled gl.inet is if you want to Google it.
It's a terrible.
Yeah, it's not great.
Okay, it's not great.
It's not great, and I cannot endorse this company. This is just like I was just Googling like best travel routers, and this was coming up a lot in various threads I was finding. But they're pretty cheap. The little boxes this company sells are like they range from like 40 to I think their most expensive Wi-Fi 7 one is like 140. They've got little fold down antennas that look kind of cool. They've got like a couple of Ethernet ports on them. Crucially for me, they run OpenWRT. Like it's not some stock firmware. I think it's generic OpenWRT. I don't think it's modified by them, although I could be wrong. But like they advertise like speeds for WireGuard and OpenVPN right there on their product pages. So it's like techie enough for me to, it's like, this one gets 300 megabits per second throughput over WireGuard and 150 OpenVPN, like stuff like that.
Can you put cellular? Can you like hook a USB cellular modem up to these things and just be good to go? I would assume. Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me.
I would assume so. Like their like high end Wi-Fi 6 model is like $80, so it's actually like a pretty low investment to try out. They're also the newer ones are USB-C powered, so I assume you could run them off of your MacBook.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, you should be able to run off the MacBook.
I would think so.
30 watts?
I didn't look up the specs on it, but
it can't be high wattage.
It really can't use that much power. Although I think it's also time, if I get a travel router, I think it's also time to get one of those multi-port gallium nitride USB-C chargers. Like I'm like 2 years overdue to get one of those things.
So when those were on sale, so for folks who don't know, these are gallium nitride. They're just really, really small, high power USB-C chargers, like the size of an old iPhone plug, basically, but it'll charge your laptop.
Or maybe closer to laptop brick size if you get one of the ones that has like 4 ports on it, which is what I would do, because I already roll with my MacBook charger when I travel, which is the same size with 1 port on it, which just feels like a huge waste of space. Like if I could get a brick that's roughly the same size that I can plug 3 to 4 devices into at the same time, like that's the way.
Well, it's interesting. So I when Anker put those on sale the first time, I got some of I think they're 45 watt max dual, like there's one 45 watt port or 160 watt port and one 30 watt port. And I use those all the time when I travel, because they're like, those are like the size of an iPhone, like a little bit bigger than an old iPhone charger. And like basically just when we go on a trip, I guess you don't do this because you have kids, but like one of the things that I always pack on trips is all the charging apparatus.
Okay.
So I have a little like Patreon sent us a couple of DOP kits a few years ago, and all of the chargers live in those for the whole family. So there's like one of those gallium nitride chargers for each person for phones and tablets.
Oh wow.
And then if somebody needs like a watch charger or something like that, then they get one more. But yeah, it's really, really handy. I highly recommend those.
Sure. Also, crucially, the little tiny desk area in this room only had one power outlet. So like, that went to my MacBook charger, which again has one port on it. Like being able to plug everything straight into the wall would be really nice there, including the travel router.
Nothing I like more than a big power plug just right beside the bed on the floor with like 12 wires snaking out of it. Yeah.
I might try one of those things. I don't know. Maybe I'll reach out to that company or just buy one. I'm not sure. There are other options. Like I looked around, like MikroTik, which is pretty high end network, kind of prosumer. Soho.
Yeah, they make a bunch of home DIY routers that run OpenSense and stuff like that too.
Their stuff all runs their own software actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we have people who are advocate for that in Discord.
Yeah, some MikroTik fans. There's also Firewalla, which I don't have much experience with at all, but I think people like their stuff too. Like both of those are more expensive just from the little bit I looked around at their tiny router travel options. Those are definitely substantially more expensive, but I might continue looking into this. I don't do a lot of business travel anymore. Like I'm not in hotels a ton, but like when I am, it would really be nice to just have this in place and just have all my stuff work.
It would be nice to just have Pi-hole automatically wherever you are. Honestly.
Absolutely. Like that, like all of my devices would be connected to a thing that's like, I would, in my case, I would just set this up to permanently connect to the WireGuard instance in my house. And then all my devices would just be going through or Blocky rather than Pi-hole at this point. But like, yeah. Seems like a fun thing to dabble with, if nothing else.
So we talked about DIY bird cameras a few years ago, or just bird cameras a few years ago, rather. And
or we talked about it a few weeks ago.
Really?
The duck. Remember the duck camera?
Oh, somebody else's bird camera.
The duck camera came up on extensively on the last Q&A.
So I'm thinking about specifically feeder cameras. We get 5 different species of hummingbirds at least here because we're on the migration path. Throughout the year, there's 2 or 3 that live here all the time, or at least big chunks of the year. And then there's a few more that come through. And as a result, we get hummingbird wars at our hummingbird feeder.
Whoa.
We have 2 or 3 feeders, depending on like, how clean stuff is and whether we need to replace one or what. But the hummingbirds come to the feeders, and some of them light, some of them sit down on like a little peg and sit there, which like most of the hummingbirds I grew up with on the East Coast just don't do that. They're always hoverers.
I don't think I've ever seen a hummingbird perch before. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll like the Annas will just sit there and just go ham on the feeder for like 5 minutes. We get Rufuses, we get black chinned, we get a couple others, and like they're complete assholes to each other.
Course.
Like enormous. So they come up and they're like cheep, 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 because hummingbird chirps are really, really high pitched. You just hear them like it almost sounds like clicks sometimes, and with like little tiny whistles, and they scream at each other and they hover around each other and they like jab at each other with their beaks, and then one flies off and the other one sits on the feeder. So the problem is there's a couple of commercial hummingbird feeder products, but none of them seem particularly good, or the ones that are good are like $500, and I'm not spending that on a hummingbird camera.
How do they bill those? Like, I mean, do they literally call them hummingbird cameras? Are they that sort of fit for purpose?
They're literally a camera integrated with like a hummingbird feeder. And that's the other problem.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Is hummingbird feeders have a finite lifespan if you don't want to accidentally kill the hummingbirds.
What?
Because the plastic bits, because they're exposed to sugar water, basically, they tend to grow mold and bacteria.
Oh, of course.
So you can clean them, but exposure to time and porosity of the plastic and all that stuff, eventually you get to a place where you're risking killing the hummingbirds by giving them bacteria and mold poisoning in their feeders.
Well, that's not good.
So
I mean, are there no metal? Are there no like higher end like metal?
Well, the metal ones rust, so that's the other problem, right?
Stainless steel ones.
I mean, maybe, but like, I guess my point is the bird camera ones are all attached to crappy plastic feeders that look like they're not going to, like, I could look at the feeder and be like, oh yeah, this one's going to be a problem to keep clean.
Yeah.
and I don't want to kill the hummingbirds. So, so what I want to do is get a good hummingbird feeder and use a good camera on it. Now, the problem is there's a couple of problems, actually. Optics are a little bit of a challenge because most of the kind of like security camera stuff that you would use for this, that's going to include software that will automatically trigger the ability to do recordings and stuff like that, isn't probably going to be great for the range at which the birds will be at, which
is probably less than a foot,
4 inches, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Now you can fix that with like stick-on optics. There's a thanks to phone cameras, there's a large market of, hey, we can get a fisheye lens that'll tap out that you can glue on over your security camera lens. The problem is a lot of the action doesn't happen on the feeding part of the feeder, so you need kind of a wider camera that's a little bit further away.
You want to get all that dog fighting.
Yeah, I want the dog. I want the war. I want the Hummingbird War. And also I want the sound too. And I want pretty good frame rate and maybe the ability to do higher frame rate.
Okay, that was exactly where I was just dying to jump in and be like, okay, can we do high speed here so we can see some slow-mo hummingbird fighting? Yeah,
like 240 hertz high speed with hummingbirds looks awesome because you can see their wings move. Right. And I've dug into it a lot. There's a lot of like birdhouse, hey, you can watch the birds nest projects. There's a lot of stuff like that. I have not found anything that is remotely suitable for hummingbirds. There's a lot of like, hey, you can repurpose a security camera and then glue on a wide angle lens. And like, that is not going to do the thing that I want, mostly because A, the security cameras rarely have sound, and B, the frame rates and the cameras just aren't very good on most security cameras. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's a Reddit thread. I think this person basically was like, hey, I want to get a HomeKit hummingbird feeder camera. And then the thread just went nowhere. So
you can be the pioneer in this space. You can blaze the trail. You can make the Reddit thread or the blog. But well, I guess in your case, the newsletter.
I'd probably do a newsletter for this one. Yeah.
That spells out the way to go.
But yeah, so if people have, I would love feedback on, like, honestly, the big challenge I've found is finding a good high speed camera that'll work in an outdoor situation. And ideally I don't want to capture 24 hours loops of 240 hertz 1080p video.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it would be a lot. So what I want is motion triggered, and I'd be curious if people have feedback on that.
Yeah. I wonder if you're going to find, I mean, all the parameters you're looking for, high speed, like the optics situation. I wonder if you're going to find that in combination with the typical IP camera suite of connectivity. I
don't think so.
That's the other thing, is because you're going to want a camera that, we've talked about this before, that can stream video over a network, over a common video protocol that you can intercept with something and record.
So the place that I went down the furthest, the hole that I went down the furthest was old phone cams, because phone cameras, like an old Pixel phone camera specifically, an Android phone, I can tap into the software. It has the high speed.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. And then there's all, like you said, there's all those aftermarket optics that literally are designed to fit onto that phone.
Yeah, and you can buy external enclosures for those. And then I could probably power it with either a PoE dongle or a little solar panel.
That sounds like a pretty solid option. I bet the secondhand, like 2 to 3 generation old Pixel market is pretty robust.
Yeah, because like a Pixel phone from 2 years ago would be fine for this.
Right.
So anyway, I literally looked at it for iPhone. I didn't look at it for Android phone. I was talking about, I was like, oh, I should look up phones for this, because this might be the answer.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
But anyway, yeah. So right. Hummingbird camera.
Yeah. All right. My next thing.
Okay.
This I am going to do this weekend because I have personal travel coming up next month and I want this in place by then. I'm going to jailbreak my Kindle.
Why?
I'll tell you why. So I started thinking about this earlier this year. I thought you had done this back when Amazon pulled their DRM jack move earlier this year, which was
I just decrypted all of my books.
Right. Yeah, so I ended up doing that too. What Amazon did earlier this year was close off one of the options, or maybe the only option at that point, for getting your purchase Amazon books off of your Kindle in a DRM free way.
Yeah. So there's other ways to do it now. They're more involved. And
I came to understand. The internet always finds a way, right? Like anytime somebody's like, hey, it's your last chance to do this thing before this corporation clamps down on your freedom to do so. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, hey, we found a new way.
Well, this one was like, this way is really dead simple. And it's like, just download the books and hit a couple buttons and then all of your stuff is done.
Right.
But yeah.
So I ended up doing that too. I got all of the books that I own on whatever Amazon calls its Kindle store, digital library.
The Kindle store.
Yes. Yeah. But from that point, I started thinking like, maybe I should go a little further with this device. And so I've been looking into Kindle jailbreaking and modding and so forth.
Okay.
The big reason, the main reason I want to do it is a software called KOReader.
What does KOReader do?
KOReader. It is literally just a different book reading piece of software. It replaces the built-in Amazon interface for reading books. I will say right now, before I go any further here, if I had done more research, that my Kindle it's an 11th gen Paperwhite, so I've had it for 2 years.
You and I got them at the same time.
Yeah, we've
had it for 3 years. Yeah,
maybe it was 3 years ago now. If I had done more research at the time, I kind of just went into that thinking, I mean, maybe this was like 10-year-old outdated thinking that like the Kindle was still just the thing to get in the e-reader space. Like I've since come to learn that like a lot of people really like things like Kobo's better, or there's Books, BOOX. There are other options that are more open and less like kind of corporately controlled than the Kindle these days.
Yeah, and I think the Books one you can even put a Kindle app on, right?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know that for sure. But the point is, some of those other third-party e-readers can install KOReader on their own without jailbreaking, without modification.
What's the benefit of KOReader?
It's basically just better reading software. It adds a lot more options than the built-in Kindle one does, or in some cases enables options that are only available on the much higher end Kindles. Like I forget is it Voyager?
Oh, the Oasis and all those.
Oasis. Yeah, it's the much more like, for example, you can do landscape mode on any Kindle with KOReader, and you can do 2-column landscape mode.
Oh, fancy!
Like way more font options, way more options for just customizing the reading experience. Probably the bigger thing, though, actually, than the reading experience is you can just drag and drop files onto the Kindle over USB, and they just show up in the library.
Well, that seems nice.
No more dealing with Amazon's like send to Kindle web interface that seems to fail half the time.
Wait, really?
Or using that bespoke email address they give you, like, hey, email documents. Like I've gotten books from publishers before, like books that are not out yet, for like when we had Jason Schreier on the Nextlander podcast last fall. I ended up missing that because of the hurricane, but he wrote a book about Blizzard that I read, and his publisher sent us advanced ebook copies. It took me, I don't know how long and how many tries to get that copy of the book they sent us to show up on my Kindle.
Really?
Like going through, I tried the email address and the send to Kindle web interface, and like it just kept failing over and over.
Oh, see, I use the send to Kindle web interface all the time, and it's worked pretty consistently for me.
I've had spotty luck with their tools for that stuff.
I mean, it's definitely not a focus, and they definitely don't make like the send to Kindle interface easy to find.
Yes,
because they want you to just buy the thing from the store.
Well, and also, and this is not apparent to the user, but under the hood, they are converting whatever EPUB or PDF, whatever format you send through that interface, to whatever their encrypted custom Amazon format is. Mm-hmm. That's another example, or another benefit of KOReader is that it supports like every file format you can think of. So,
oh, that's nice.
If you've got a PDF or an EPUB or whatever it is, just drag it on there. It also syncs with Calibre. I have come to realize in watching some YouTube. Oh, did you know?
Yeah, I learned. I got a lot of messages.
I see. Okay. the book management software formerly known as Calibre.
Yeah, it's Calibre.
Because the guy's British. But Calibre will sync books over Wi-Fi to KOReader as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. So like there are a lot of more easy options for getting more different types and formats of books onto the thing. I'll link the YouTube video that I watched about the jailbreak and KOReader and stuff like that in here, because he does a nice video tutorial of what options KOReader enables. It just looks like a better experience. Also, this is anecdotal, but watching him navigate that software, I'd swear it seems faster and more responsive than the built-in Amazon interface.
Well, so it's funny because I often will buy a book collection from Humble if there's a lot of if they have a lot of things that I'm interested in, and that fulfills through Kobo, I think.
Okay.
So like there's always a hey, I have to decrypt this using Calibre, and then I have to email them to myself or use the upload thing to get into the Kindle library.
Right.
It seems like it'd be nice to just move in between. But the other thing is I've been having trouble with e-readers as I've gotten older.
Really?
Like e-ink. Yeah.
No kidding.
I don't know what it is about my eyes now, but I pick up the depth on the bubbles in the fonts, so that like the serifs sometimes feel like they're closer to the surface of the screen than the other parts of the ligatures of the typeface.
Wild.
And it's really hard to read, but only sometimes. So when I do when I set the e-reader to do a complete page refresh every time instead of just changing doing the small number of pixels, it seems fine. But then the battery life goes to hell in them, and it's like much less valuable as an option. So
interesting. I do wonder about battery life with this stuff. I do wonder if
you're going to see a hit.
Yeah, that's my fear, is that, Amazon is probably optimizing for that in a way that Homebrew is not necessarily. But
you got that GAN charger. Just plug it in a little more often.
So the thing that surprised me the most about the jailbreak, I'll link this in the show notes, but kindlemodding.org is a really nice, clean wiki that very clearly lays out, here is every historical model of Kindle and what process is for jailbreaking that particular model, which firmware version it needs to be on. I think it's only the very newest firmware right now that can't be jailbroken, but it seems like there's a leapfrog thing of, they put out a new firmware and then some weeks or months later, they figure out how to jailbreak that one. So you do have to pay attention to that. And I haven't gone through the whole process yet, but it seems both really easy, but also a bit detail oriented in ways that you need to be aware of. Like the jailbreaking process is literally just downloading some files and copying them to the Kindle over USB and then rebooting the Kindle. Like that's basically it. But you do need to do things in a certain order to make sure that a future over the air update doesn't blow away the jailbreak.
That makes sense.
So there's a little bit of fiddliness there, but it seems quite easy if you follow the wiki steps. The big one for me, and this would have been a deal breaker if this were not the case, but you can just factory reset the Kindle and completely remove all of the jailbreak.
Yeah, it's not like they ban people for jailbreaking or anything like that.
Right. So you can.
I guess they could.
Yeah, they could. They definitely could. But it is reversible as of now. But like I said, the thing that really surprised me is that you're still running the Amazon OS once this is jailbroken. I kind of assumed this was some whole OS replacement, like it was running Linux or something after the jailbreak. But but it's absolutely, like, you can still get to the Amazon Reader, the Amazon Library, like all the built-in factory stuff is there. It's just you have an extra launcher that lets you launch stuff like KOReader.
Yeah, it's interesting. I might actually mess around with this. This sounds fun.
Yeah, I'll link the stuff in the show notes. It seems pretty easy. There's a bunch of other stuff you can do with the jailbreak that I am almost certainly not going to do. There is a Game Boy emulator.
That seems low value.
There is an Alpine Linux distribution you can install.
No, don't need that. Can you play Snake?
You can play way more than Snake. I mean, I saw in this video he's playing Tetris. He's playing Pokemon.
Can't imagine playing Tetris on an e-ink screen is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Like there might be cases where having a full Linux distribution available on there could come in handy.
That's some real Neil Stephenson business.
I am not going to do that. Here's something I might actually do. There is a Home Assistant app for this, or there's a way to hook into your Home Assistant.
Now that seems like a good way to upcycle an old Kindle.
Totally. In fact, I believe it's the same video I was watching. This guy took a very old Kindle and 3D printed a wall mount for it.
Yeah.
And just turned it into a permanent, like, installed in the house, like, control panel for Home Assistant.
That sounds pretty good.
Running on an e-ink screen. So like that actually is a super cool idea. But
so that, hey, let's have a big e-ink screen that controls your Home Assistant install is one of the things that I've looked at those books tablets for in the past, because that's they run Google Play.
Oh, okay.
And they also make kind of big ones. Like they make a 10-inch screen.
Is there any danger with e-ink of burn-in?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know why there would be.
I mean, it's designed for displaying the same image for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So I guess it's probably resilient to that, I hope.
Well, yeah, and it works by moving particles through fluid. So like if it stops working, it'll it's because either the charge thing on the bottom that makes the particles go away or come closer, or the fluid has a problem.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure. In my case, like, I frequently am lying in bed at night without any other devices that can control Home Assistant nearby, and all the lights in the bedroom are on smart plugs. So if the timer is not convenient on those lamps, or I forget to have a phone near me or something, it's a real pain to turn the lights off. So having, the Kindle is frequently the only thing I have in bed. So
don't you just say, "Hey Siri, turn off the lights"?
Might surprise you to hear I have disabled all of the
It doesn't surprise me at all.
voice activated Hey Siri functionality.
Not one bit. Not one bit.
Anyway, this all seems quite easy to do and just gives you a bunch more flexibility for how you use your Kindle, and I'm pretty excited about it, I think.
Well, so it's funny, the using the e-ink screen, this is the thing I forgot that I couldn't remember when we were talking about this last night. The home, I have walked down the hole and come back multiple times now on building one of those home kind of console panels. Like it's like a home organizer. It's like a shared calendar for the home that's on a big screen. And like, I don't exactly know why I haven't done it, because it would be really useful. I mean, some of our household doesn't really like using electronic calendars. They like using paper because, 20th century.
They're Luddites.
I mean,
no, I get it. I'm joking.
Yeah, Luddites are good, Brad. It turns out. Remember, you have to remember that.
Fair.
But yeah, no. There's just too much complexity in the space, and I don't know what I want, and I don't really want to pay for something. And I have a couple of big old screens that should do this. Like I have this old electric objects frame from like, I don't know, I bought it as a Kickstarter 10 years ago.
How big is it?
Pretty big. It's like 19 inches, I think.
Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, I was going to ask, like, what is the common biggest size of touchscreen you can get these days? Although that's 10 years ago, I'm sure they're bigger now.
Well, so that's the thing. A lot of these aren't even touchscreens. These are just displays. So they're just for like, hey, here's what's going on with everybody today. Here's everybody's calendars for the day. Here's the weather. Here's the scratch board that you can post to with your phone, stuff like that. And like, it just doesn't seem that useful for the amount of effort that's going to go into setting it up and keeping it maintained. So, I guess we're going to keep using the calendars with the dry erase markers. I don't know.
Have you ever thought about doing a smart mirror? If it's not going to be touched to begin with, smart mirrors look so cool.
I mean, when we replaced our bathroom mirror cabinet thing, I specifically bought one with the doors that are thick enough that I could take the mirror off, cut out a piece of it, and then glue the mirror back on. And I don't think I want electricity in my bathroom cabinet.
I don't think I would want it in the bathroom generally. I think like something in the hallway, like in a common area out in the house, is probably the ideal place for a smart mirror.
Yeah, but you have to carve out wall behind it in that case then.
Yeah, or just have a very thick device hanging on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the thing to do is the other thing I keep looking at are those little projectors. Like the cheap solid state projectors have gotten like really inexpensive and really good lately. And I feel like maybe that's the place for that kind of ambient stuff, is you just blast it on the like kitchen counter or something, like it's a hotel room now.
Yeah. Some kind of like permanent heads up display, like activity display sort of thing, like you're talking about, it feels like the time has come in a world that feels increasingly cyber. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like in a world where like a lot of the science fiction elements of 90s action movies feel like they are just sort of popping off left and right these days.
Well, yeah, and like things like presence sensors are really good now. Like you can tell where people are in the room, so you could have it come up with the person who's looking at its calendar based on the amount of water in their person and stuff like. Anyway, I don't know. I don't really want to dig into this. The thing I really want to talk about is the Twitch 1440p streaming, which I got access to a couple of days ago.
Great. Yes. We signed up for that on Nextlander as well. I am curious to hear, have you used it yet?
I realized after I signed up for it that I don't actually have a way to use it, because the capture card that grabs footage from my gaming PC is only good for 4K 30. It's a Blackmagic, so it does 1080p 60 or 4K 30, and it doesn't do anything in between because it's Blackmagic and they only do real resolutions, not bullshit gaming resolutions.
Right. Also, you're capturing even PC footage. You're capturing over an actual video connection, right? You're
not capturing over a literal, HDMI connection.
Outputting from one machine to another. You can't you can't do game capture at any resolution.
I mean, I could, but my stuff is like, I set up for a 2 PC rig years ago, and I haven't changed back to a single PC just because it's nice to not have the overhead.
You could do what I do and game capture and compress the video at a high quality on your gaming PC and send it over the network to.
Doesn't that add a bunch of latency?
It does. This would be a temporary solution, but if you just want to try it out without waiting for a new dongle or something.
Well, so I have a capture card in my main PC that I use for console games that would work.
Okay.
That does it. It's an AverMedia 4K Ultra or whatever. It does 1440p 240 or something ridiculous. I don't know if I want to pull that card because I do actually use the capture card to play PlayStation and Switch 2 games now sometimes. The thing I really want to do is I want to dig into external capture boxes that use USB 3 or 4, because then I could turn this streaming box from a big giant tower into an ITX machine that's just like a fairly lightweight ITX machine and an external capture card.
Sure.
And I don't know anybody who, my perception of the external capture cards is always that they're toys.
That's always been my feeling as well, but I have absolutely nothing to back that up. I know people who use them and seem to have perfectly good luck with them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get USB-C, a USB 3.2 or whatever, and you're getting the same amount of bandwidth that I'm getting from my buy 2 slot on my internal card.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are the typical concerns with high-end USB stuff, worrying about bus contention or whatever. Some USB controllers are less quality than others depending on your motherboard and what they put on there. USB for high end, low latency, real time stuff like video and audio is not always super reliable, but
it seems like they sell them though, so they probably work. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it maybe I'll buy one someplace I can return it and let you know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using a USB capture dongle for this camera for 5 years, and that's worked just fine.
I wonder if I could just get one of those.
Probably.
Yeah, I wonder if I bet it supports weird resolutions. I don't know.
Do you know anything about the parameters of Twitch's 1440p streaming? I'm looking at their help page for this beta, and I want to know what their ingest bandwidth limit is. If they've, I hope to God, raised it above the 6 megabit cap that is on current 1080p streams, and also what codecs they're supporting, and I can't find that.
Okay, so first off, they've upped the limit on the 1080p streams to you can do more now.
Really?
But only if you do the multi-encode locally.
Oh, and so is that still only in that beta version of OBS?
Yeah, I think no, it's in mainline OBS now because I do it.
It is, but you still have to use OBS, right?
You have to use OBS. I think you can do it. I think you can do it with other stuff now too.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I mean, I don't do a lot of streaming myself. Vinny handles most of the streaming lately because I haven't been doing a lot of solo streaming, but I use FFmpeg to send to Twitch. So I wonder if I've been worried for a while that they're not going to make it easy to do stuff like the multi-encode with that.
The multi-encode is really nice because it gives basically all of the resolutions are streamed locally. Yeah. So that means there's no, if you have people that watch on phones or TVs, they'll often lag even 3 or 4 seconds behind the rest of the stream. And
because of the transcoding.
Because of the transcoding.
And that's if your channel even has transcoding available to begin with.
Yeah, and you have to be a partner to get access to guaranteed transcoding.
Yeah, I guess we should step back a little bit. What we're talking about here is having the streamer do all the different encode qualities to send out to various clients rather than Twitch used to do all of that on their end. So really this is just Twitch offloading the horsepower and electricity to the end user that they used to cover themselves. But that's still preferable, especially modern graphics cards and CPUs with QuickSync and stuff like that can do multiple encodes just fine at pretty low power if you're using hardware acceleration. So it's not a huge deal, but it is going to take some more doing on the software end to get the multi-encode working for people.
So it looks like it's 20 megabits and you have to do the multi-stream. Okay. So that means it's OBS 31 or newer.
Yeah, I see on the on their help page here for this beta, it looks like you're doing minimum 14 megabit upload. So that's pretty damn generous. That's over double what the old cap was.
But I think 14 is only for the main 1440p stream, and everything else comes downstream from that.
That does make sense. But I still don't see any mention of what codec is being used here.
It's H.264 still.
Wait, what?
I believe.
What? That can't. What the fuck are we doing?
I don't, because it works on 2000 series or newer, which I think is your H.264. I don't think AV1 is on yet.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I do see mention of HEVC on this page, but I'm not sure that they're actually letting you use it.
I do not think that they're, I mean, you have to use their presets. You can't set up the stream manually.
I see. Okay.
So it's, I don't know if you can tell. So yeah, it's great.
All right.
Maybe I'll do a stream and just not stream from the second PC and try it out and then decide if I want to spend $200 on another capture card.
Yeah. Yeah. We are set up for that here. So I hope that we get into that beta sometime soon so we can try it out. Like, it feels about 2 years overdue now for Twitch to have done some major upgrade to the available streaming quality.
Does that mean I'm going to have to upgrade my my feed out to Vinny?
Yeah, but that's just an internal configuration change in OBS.
That's true. I could send him 4K right now if you wanted.
That's right. Yeah.
I might actually send him 4K right now when I think about it.
Oh, yikes. That's...
Well, let me see.
Whoa.
I'm going to look at my live OBS settings checking here.
You've disabled your virtual camera. I just see your OBS logo now.
I know. I had to go look. It looks like I'm using the old version of NVENC too to send to him. Oh, that's bad. It looks like I am sending HEVC to you guys.
I think that's what I had you set up. In fact, that's the best he can ingest. vMix.
And I'm only doing 1080p.
vMix does not have support for AV1 or other newer codecs. So, but HEVC is fine for that. But for people who don't know, we send video over the network.
Yeah.
To Vinny, who ingests it into vMix. And anyway,
it's funny. It seems like the OBS handover has gotten to the point that it seems like it's the clear, the vMix and the commercial products have a handful of things that they still do really, really well.
Yeah.
But for the most part, OBS seems like the place to, if you're learning a new thing now, OBS seems like the thing to learn.
Yeah, it's both the widely available free option and also probably the most well supported in terms of staying up to date with the new features and codecs. The one thing vMix has that it does a lot of stuff that it's more of a commercial switching software. It looks more like an actual TV.
You can hook a control surface up to it.
Switch it right. Yeah. Compared to OBS. But the one thing that it has that I really wish OBS had, or at least that I had a better option for, was dealing with a multi-caller situation, kind of like your typical remote podcast situation. Your remote, 3 to 4 talking heads all sending audio separately. I know there are some external web-based tools. There's there's what used to be called OBS Ninja. I forget what they have rebranded to. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's OBS Samurai now, I think.
No, it's video.ninja now.
That's okay.
If you go to video.ninja, I know some people use that. That is a way to get people into a video call and then add what I'm talking about is getting people into video call, having their video and audio all callers video and audio come into OBS as separate sort of feeds that you can then mute or tweak the audio on individually, move their cameras around individually. You can fudge this really awkwardly with browser capture, which is what I have done in the past. You can just get everybody into one video call and then chop it up with browser capture to at least get separate camera feeds, but you're still stuck taking the one audio feed from the call.
Yeah, that's bad.
Everybody. Most web-based video call software does a good job of mixing and normalizing people's audio together anyway. So it's not usually a huge deal, but that is a place where vMix absolutely excels over OBS.
So let me tell you something that Zoom added recently, which is a live streaming plugin that lets you export you can connect it to Twitch or YouTube, but you can also just give it an RTMP server feed.
Okay.
And it pipes up to 3 feeds out of that, I believe.
Interesting.
So then you can get, I haven't gotten it to work yet because I haven't gotten the FFmpeg repeater working right yet. But you basically can pipe live up to 3 individual feeds out of a Zoom call into your OBS.
That sounds appealing, other than making people use Zoom for a live stream.
I mean, people are very comfortable with Zoom.
I guess so. I guess it's pretty widespread, but you do have to install it if you want the good one and not the web-based one. Like, it requires overhead. If you have a guest on and they don't have it installed, it's a whole thing.
The number of times I've talked to somebody, because we use Zoom for Full Nerd, the number of times we've had somebody that didn't have Zoom installed was one.
Yeah, okay, fair.
It was when you were on the show.
What? Wait, what are you talking about? I have Zoom installed.
You didn't have Zoom installed when we did it one time.
Looking at it in my start menu.
We have a pin. There's a pin.
I see.
Yeah. You think that's it, or should we talk about time servers real quick?
I put the time server in here kind of as a joke, although I'm moving. It's becoming less of a joke. I'm moving closer to it becoming real, but it's probably like years down the line.
Look, man, when you said this, I was like, why not just have an atomic clock? And then I looked up how to build an atomic clock, and it turns out that's a doable project.
Wait, really?
Yeah, dude, there's board mountable atomic clock elements now. It's not like it used to be that you had to have a crystal oscillator that you heated up to a specific temperature and held at that temperature, and they pulled like 16 or 20 watts or something. But now for space applications, they have little tiny ones that are like mountable on a board. They're kind of expensive, but like not for a one-off. It's not undoable. It turns out the challenge is, how do you set the time on the atomic clock in the first place? And then you also want to maintain power in events of outages and stuff, so you don't have to go through that hassle, because it turns out that setting the time on the atomic clock is kind of, to an accurate point, is kind of challenging.
Okay, so see, I don't want to be responsible for local time accuracy. I still want to go to an external authoritative source of truth.
I'm just saying, if you're going to do this, just build the atomic clock, man.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
The other solution here is to hit GPS, because GPS satellites keep exquisitely accurate time. They have to.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably not going to get too far down this road, but this has come up several times on the Discord, and every time people talk about it, I get a little more serious about wanting to do it at some point.
I mean, look, your university had an NTP server. Why shouldn't you? Why
should I not have my own NTP? NTP is network time protocol. It's the thing that your devices all use to hit servers on the internet to synchronize time. But there is some latency involved in contacting a server halfway across the country and getting a response back.
That's built into the protocol, though. It accounts for it.
What if you had a box in your house that everything in your house was talking to find out what time it was?
Time.shoe.maker.
That's right. Like, what if you could just have microseconds of latency on your timekeeping?
Can you set? Does Windows let you put an arbitrary time server in?
Windows does, although actually, I wonder if you might have to like edit the registry to enable that at this point.
Yeah, because there's no pop-up for that on my Windows. It just says sync now.
And I know in the past you could set your own NTP server in Windows. I thought you still could, and I'm pretty sure macOS still lets you do it as well. But yes, this topic, I asked this question in the network channel when people were talking about buying boxes or building boxes to do this. Eric on the Discord had, I mean, this is some network professional level solution shit. The solution offered was to intercept all the NTP traffic at the router level and redirect it to your local NTP server, which then means it's almost like Pi-hole, but for time, where like every device that is sending, I think it's port 123 that NTP communicates on.
I don't know.
Basically,
I don't remember that.
You're basically catching all the traffic on whatever port NTP uses and sending it to your server, so that all your devices are getting diverted to your local NTP server. I don't know how viable that is. It sounds like
this is a real hole, even for you.
This is, I'm not, like, again, that's why this is years away. This is a house project. I don't know why, because you could do it in an apartment, I guess, but like, this is the kind of thing I would only do once I had a house and a network rack.
I really think if you're going to go this far, you have to do the atomic clock. That's the only way to make this right.
I wonder how susceptible to entropy that is. Like, I wonder how much that can get fouled up if you don't keep it in the right conditions or keep it maintained. Again, I would kind of rather talk to things orbiting the Earth, because those are pretty far beyond the reach of getting screwed up.
They're just atomic clocks too, man.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just floating atomic clocks with a radio on it.
Yeah, but it's like nice and cold and...
well, sometimes it's really hot.
Yeah, fair.
It's either cold or hot. There's no in between.
Yeah. Anyway, there are different ways to do this. I won't get too deep into it right now. Like, you can DIY this with a Raspberry Pi and like a GPS sensor. I think we've talked about that in the past. There's a company called Time Machines that makes like what appear to be like pretty rugged industrial versions of this.
Man, I want a time machine.
The one everybody likes on the Discord, people are mostly eBaying because new they are $349.
That's pretty expensive.
But you can get them for like under 200 on eBay, it seems.
Okay.
Those also just have an antenna that connects to GPS or looks for GPS signal. Anyway, I'm probably not actually going to do this anytime soon, but
look, if I'm ranking these, if I'm S tiering these, I think the Kindle Jailbreak is an S tier.
Oh yeah,
the Travel T is a solid B. Travel Router is a solid B.
Mm-hmm.
External capture / Twitch 1440p streaming, maybe a B tier, maybe an A. I don't know.
Yeah.
The DIY Hummingbird camera, probably a C, maybe an S if I can get it to work and I get Hummingbird War videos. We didn't even talk about my foot pedal. I got a foot pedal. I use it to capture benchmarks.
What kind of foot pedal are we talking?
It's one of those Elgato Stream Deck foot pedals. And basically I smash a button and it hits all the keyboard shortcuts that I need to capture video and frame time perfmon charts at the same time.
How many pedals are on your pedal?
There's 3, but there's options. Like it comes with a bazillion little spring packs that you can use to make the pedals springier or less springy.
Okay.
Or just turn them off entirely. There's one that just blocks it if you just want to use it as a footrest.
Seeing as this is a $90 foot pedal, I guess I'm glad to see it's customizable.
Yeah, I was worried it was going to like slide around on my hardwood. It doesn't. It's pretty good.
All right.
But yeah, I have it bound to push to mute when I'm not using it for benchmarks.
Okay.
Like mute. Like when I stomp down on it, it mutes as long as my foot is on the pedal.
Oh, interesting. It's basically a cough button. That's cool.
Yeah. But I'm curious what other people like. I don't know what else I should use a foot pedal for.
Well,
if anybody else has any ideas, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an F, maybe a D.
Wait, what is
pedal?
Foot pedal?
The foot pedal.
Wow, man, no foot pedal respect here at all.
I mean, it is really nice. So specifically when I'm doing those micro stutter videos for PC World, it's really nice to just be able to keep my foot on the thing and hit the button when I'm coming up on a fight that looks like it's going to be a good time for micro stutter, so I can get a good clean capture. And it's hard to do that without like breaking the action in the game by taking your hand off and hitting the other shortcuts.
Mm.
But yeah, other than that, I probably wouldn't have bought a foot pedal.
Sure. Understandable. But you have not ranked the time server yet.
I think the time server is a solid F, Brad. I'm sorry. If you put an atomic clock in there, it moves up to a B.
Fine. At some point, it's going to climb up the ranking. Okay, actually, how about this?
Yeah.
What if I told you that not only could you get one of those industrial looking time machines boxes to do this,
yeah,
but that they also sell a separate, and there's a rackable kit for these, so you can put both of these in a rack.
Do you have a rack?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's why this is a post-rack project, probably some years down the line. What if you could also get a red VFD display? You know, VFD like the old school VCR style of.
How many points of accuracy can you get?
Kind of 7-segment numerical display.
Yeah.
What if you could get a local clock that plugged into this that always was showing you the canonical?
How many points?
GPS
how many decimal seconds can you get?
I don't remember.
Like 6? Can you get 6 decimal seconds?
I don't think it's that big of a display, but just a severe red looking like nuclear facility time readout.
I don't know, man. These time machines boxes. And also, I don't know why they have ACHI highlighted in their logo, but I guess that means something. I feel like these time machines boxes looks like the thing you used to buy from the back of Popular Mechanics that were like
100%.
Sell like radar speed trap jammers that you put in your dashboard.
If you scroll down on that product page I sent you, that clock I mentioned is right there.
Oh, perfect.
God, that thing is $190. Good God, man.
That's what, look.
I mean,
things got to be worth it,
Like you said, this looks like this is sold out of Popular Mechanics. This is for people who have an actual need for accurate timekeeping on their network, which I do not, but it sure would be cool.
Well, I mean, everybody has need for accurate time on the network, but it's all served by time.windows or time.apple.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that's as good a place as any to wrap it up. Yep. It's like a project potpourri, I guess. Kinda. I don't know.
Yeah. A little more structured than your average patron. Here's what we're working on episode.
I'm thinking about the Hummingbird camera more. I didn't tell about this, but the one thing that I did notice that I thought was interesting is a lot of people do like bird nest cameras they put it in like birdhouses. And the thing that they're doing for those now is they buy those cheap endoscopes. Oh, the ones that you use to like check inside your walls and stuff like that. Mm. And you just mount the camera for that at the top of the birdhouse facing down, and you get like an incredible view of the thing.
Wow. And
that is a good solution for that problem, because those are Wi-Fi connected. You can pull the video off of them pretty easily.
Sure.
But the cameras are all kind of crappy. Anyway, if you like this, if you didn't like us, please send us a letter to techpod@content.town. If you have suggestions or ideas or other feedback, we want this to be kind of a conversation, right? It was a conversation between Brad and me. We want to know what you guys think about this stuff too, because I think I'm definitely going to set up for the 1440p stuff. The Hummingbird camera is going to continue to be something I look at occasionally to see if the cameras are available.
I mean, that's a big project.
I might take out an old Pixel phone and because I have a like Pixel 4 here, I think, that I don't use anymore. And that might be a good look for this. If you want to know, if you have thoughts about Brad's travel router or the jailbroken Kindle, please let us know. Yeah. And if you think Brad should build an atomic clock, please like and subscribe. As always, Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod is supported by you, the listener. We wouldn't be here without the audience, without you all every month listening to the show.
We would not.
And also every week subscribing to the Patreon. We have like thousands of people in the Patreon that are delightful human beings sharing the things that they're into. And you can find them all in the TechPod Discord, which is only accessible if you subscribe to the Patreon. You got to go to patreon.com/techpod. For $5 a month, you get access to the Discord. You get the monthly patron exclusive episodes. The Discord is a source of joy and fun and constant learnings for me. People are always coming up with amazing things they share in there, and I'm constantly impressed.
Same. I never would have thought about building my own time server were it not for that community.
Okay, so sometimes it's a force of evil, but whatever.
Fair.
Patreon.com/techpod. You too can get time server pilled just like Brad. And I guess, and we got to thank our patrons, but especially our executive producer tier patrons, including Jason Lee, Andrew Slosky, Jordan Lippett, tech.bunnycrimes.com, Twinkle Twinkie, David Allen, James Kamek, and Pantheon, makers of the HS3 high-speed 3D printer. I'm going to tech.bunnycrimes.com right now.
It sounds like that's been changing. It sounds like they're cycling through. I think it may have been Shift F1 at one point.
Yep,
we're in the hot seat right now.
It looks like it's ads for the things that they're funding. So we appreciate you, buddy. Okay. But thanks, Buddy Crimes.
Yeah, and everybody else. You are the reason for the podcast season. We would not be here were it not for you.
That's true. Very true. I would just be having coffee right now on Friday morning. Maybe I'd go get a donut. I might go get a donut. I think I have a coupon for cheap donuts. So
I would just be jailbreaking my Kindle and not talking to people about it.
Yeah, just doing weird stuff alone in your room instead of talking into a microphone. See, that legitimizes all of your hobbies.
That's right.
Yeah. But anyway, we appreciate you all legitimizing all of our hobbies, and we will be back next week with another edition of the Tech Pod. As always, please consider the environment before printing this podcast.